inside the brain there are connections. There are wires that connect to there's the cortex, and the cortex has wires that connect it together. So these wires are called the white matter fibers, and these white matter fibers, um, that the way they are connected determines how well you perceive things, and they determine how well you can mentally manipulate things. So, for example, if I was doing a puzzle, and for example, I can do a puzzle in front of me that has like 27 uh, parts to it. Yeah, there's some people that can do puzzles with 126 pieces in front of them, and they can handle all those. They can manipulate 126 different puzzle pieces. Like it could be a 3D puzzle with 127 pieces on it, where I would have trouble with just 27 pieces. But the thing is, the reason why they could do over 100 pieces is because the wiring is connected differently inside them, so that they can manipulate and control how the pieces go together. So and in the back of the brain, that the perception that well, the what it is that the wires direct how you use memory, which is and memory is in the cortex. So the wires direct how you use memory, and how you use memory determines how you're able to manipulate. And in the back of the brain, the it's actually how you perceive reality. So if you're channeling memory in a certain way through your perceptions, then you're able to see in higher resolution and see how subtler details, and also you're able to see causality, like how things happen at the same time and stuff like that, so you're able to keep track of more objects at the same time. So like, if for example, if you're drawing a picture or if you're drawing an animation, you're able to keep track of more objects moving in the background than a person that's like able to draw like just like one ball bouncing, or like five ball bouncing, whereas a person can keep track of like over 100 different things, or variables of like a person transform like a person transforming into something else, like just like all through like it's just like some of the animation is just like very very fantastic, and they can keep track of all that because they can perceive where everything is going at once. And so the way they can do that is that the wires are connected, channeling the memory to where it has to go, and so that they can perceive more and they can know where things have to go. And so the thing is that that's the back of the brain. The back of the brain perceives how things are all moving together, and how all the shapes are going together, and in a spatial location, and also with hearing and language and stuff like that. But also with the front of the brain is connected in such a way that it can deal with a 3D puzzle with like over 100 pieces in some people, and they can put it all together, and it's and it all has to do with the way the wires connect the memory of the cortex together. And so I think that that if there was a way to do that in the computer, that it's so the memory utilization is from how the wires are connected up. So if it's if memory utilization is how the wires are connected up in a network, then all we have to do is find out the kind of network that we want to put inside the computer to do certain tasks that we want it to do. And so like for example, if I am a person that has the capacity to understand things, like for example, cognito ergo sum, I think therefore I am, then that's a network thing. For example, like I went to church today and I wrote down that metanoia, which means metamind, which means the mind going back into itself. So the thing is that like if the mind goes back into itself, that means that I understand that I become self-referential. This means that I am able to understand that I have cognitive processes inside me. I can point inward, and my mind knows my mind is going back into my own mind, and then I'm conscious. And so the thing is that that's a network structure. Being conscious, having a mind, is a network structure of going back into itself. And so this is not that complicated. It's not that complicated. And so things like it should be simpler than like the math they use to figure out like physics and stuff like that. I mean, like, it's just networks, and networks are not that complicated. And so if there's a network that tells you how to create a conscious computer, or at least a computer that can talk to you the way I'm talking to you now, it would not be complex. It would be so simple because it's just a network structure. And so we could have a diagram, or like a code of a network structure that could think like a human, or be intelligent like a human, because it's utilizing memory from the way it's connected up inside itself, and it would go back into itself to become conscious, and then all sorts of possibilities would go on from there. And that's what I've been working on for a long time, and that's like trying to create a thesis, but like I'm not a computer programmer, so like I can't make this. It's just I just have the theory, and the theory is the most important part, because if you don't have the overarching structure, like if you don't have like the if you don't have the concept of washing your hands and germ theory, you're not going to get that far in medicine. Even though it's the simplest thing out there, it's like you need that, even though it's the simplest thing. So like my ideas are so simple, yet no one knows about them, that they're just needed for artificial intelligence and smart computers to just get where they need to get to.